Good evening, everyone, and welcome and welcome and welcome. It's the start of the 2022-23 school year. I am Denise, the Diva D from Carved Out Divas, and to my left,
April Cobb with April's Beauty Bar. And we are excited, super excited. This is our first time on in a while since you returned. And we're being hosted by Bianca Gooseby with Teaching for the Culture. So welcome.
welcome. You're gonna have to give me 1 minute because the guy who's cutting my yard is actually right in front of my door, so it's hard to hear you. Go ahead, April.
No
Talk about the
worries,
school
no
year.
worries. So good evening, everyone. We hope that this Sunday finds you all in good spirits and prepared to start your work week if it begins on a Monday, like Denise and I's does. But yeah, it's been quite eventful. We've experienced our first 8 days of the 2022-2023 school year. And yeah, it feels like it's been 6 damn months. I don't know how else to explain it. Um, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm beyond tired already, and I'm like, if we keep up at this pace, they gonna win by October.
I'm convinced that that's what's going to happen, and so just like April said, we're only 8 days into the 2022-23 school year, and it feels like 8,000 because of just. I think that what it is, well, I would say on my site, I'm saying this with fingers crossed right now, okay, because this is the first time in 2 entire years that every child in the 8th grade has all of their core content teachers. I mean, and also this is the first time in 2 years, again, knock on wood, that I have not covered a class for the entire week. I mean, that's a call for celebration right there by itself. But let me get my parade because for the entire week, I don't know. I kept on, you go into school with this sense of anxiety because you just know you're gonna cover a class. I could not believe I made it from a Monday to a Friday and I did not cover a class. And I I don't know what next week has in store for me, but I'm gonna take that as a win for the week. Now, in terms of them returning to school, these are some brand new personalities that have returned to school. So, talk about your personalities on your site. Go ahead.
It's not that they're disrespectful to a point of the excessive cursing, because when I tell you we put the thumb, toes, all that down for 6th grade coming in, they've been, you could tell that our incoming 6th graders have been challenged with the responsibility of being adults at home. So they don't know how to revert back into childlike behavior or exhibit that they're a child when having conversation with adults, because baby, they come at you with and I'm like, who they talking to? Ma'am, sirs, please take a seat. You are 11, 12 at the most. Please take a seat, and I want you to suppress all of that energy, because I'm going to refer to it as energy that you have right now, and let out the little house on the prairie skipping through the doggone the prairie behavior come out, because right now you're giving me Shanae and Martin Lawrence all day. Like,
To the 12
no,
power. To the 12 power.
stop.
I had one that literally came up to my. I wouldn't even say they even reached my shoulder. They actually reached my breast level. That's as high as you got. And you try to square up with me. And I'm like, I looked around because I wasn't sure, I wasn't sure who they were addressing. I was like, well, are you addressing somebody my height? I mean, you can't even. Do you realize the top of your head can't even hit these D cups? I mean, that's the top of your head. So I'm really concerned about where you thought that attitude was going to go. So I think our word of advice to parents is, school has started. We just going to reiterate to you, and I'll let you hear the thunder going, so I'm holding on. But school has actually started. And that we need to realize that there's an authority figure not only in the classroom, there's an authority figure in the cafeteria, there's one on the bus. The authority figures are there. And we're there to keep you safe, and we're there to instruct you. So we got to reel a lot of that back in. I mean, but of course, we know a lot of it is due to social media. I mean, if your child has been babysat by social media all summer, that's 2.5 months of constant stimulation, for lack of a better word. And now you're regurgitating all of that into the classroom. So we're going to ask that you help rein that in.
And to add on to what you just said, we were at an assembly this past week, and I think it was either Thursday or Friday. Look, again, they got me a little shuffled in my days in my mind. So we had the assembly. So two gentlemen, they could not sit still. They could not sit still. They was doing a full drum line. They was touching everybody, blah, blah, blah. So the principal walked over and, asked the two gentlemen to just stand, so that they can move around freely, without touching each other and beating while they're speaking at the on the stage. They didn't have earbuds in. They didn't have earphones in. There was no music playing. The whole time they doing the shaky thing and the dance, and they doing the dance. They having full dance offs in their head where they hear music. Now, what you want me to teach them if they hear the music in their head, because it's so branded on their brains to that's their norm? Hearing me teach about fractions and standard algorithm, long division, they don't hear any of that. I'm like, oh my God, you over there having a full. I'm like, what the hell? So parents, please help us. Turn the talk tick off. Tick tock, ta 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 ta, because it is depleting the interest in academics with the overstimulation of the beats, the words, the dance, like they were having full. They were dancing off to each other by not saying they weren't saying a word. But there was somebody up there on the stage presenting, and you didn't hear not one word of it. I'm like, oh God. Oh God.
That leads us to two of the skills, like social skills. That's a big thing for us, that the kids don't have the social skills they need. One is to just be able to pay attention, to focus. The other thing is just being respectful. I mean, you got to be respectful of the person that's speaking. I mean, I have kids right now who will literally turn their back away from the front of the room and have a conversation with the kid behind them, like the instructor is in the front. And then something I was talking about on Friday is like, well, okay, if our kids have IEPs, and I'm going to keep on emphasizing this to parents, if your kid has IEP and we're following the IEP, it's very important that you help to support us. I love what you just said, April, in terms of we got to work together. You got to support us, because they're coming to school, they're choosing to do the opposite of what needs to be done, and we're there. We're just there to help the child. Now, things that some kids need. I mean, like, you need to sit in the front. You got a hearing problem, got to wear the hearing aid. If you need to wear glasses, got to put the glasses on. There's just some things that you got to do, and I do understand that peer pressure is big. Peer pressure is like, hey, look, my friend's gonna laugh at me because I got these glasses. Hey, I understand that, but you can't see. So because you can't see now, you completely distracted from everything else. You'd rather do everything else but focus. But you're throwing off the rest of the class, and we need help. We need you to help us get them right. But let's go back to these behaviors. Okay, just like you said, the kids are cursing. They're not cursing at me, but sometimes they get so out of their mind, out of control, that they cursing for 5 minutes and then nobody arguing with them. I'm like, do you realize you in this by yourself? You realize you running out a whole stream of profanity and there's not one person that's responding to you. Who are you cussing at? What's going on in your head? Especially since the adult is not saying anything. But also the other part of it is, what if the adult is saying stop? Just stop cussing. And you just going on and on and on and on. I had to eject somebody. I won't call it remove. I call eject. On Friday, I had to eject y'all. Like, how the referee blow the whistle? You out the game? Okay, flag on the play. Sir, you got to go. because you are literally cussing and cussing and cussing and effing and mother. But who are you responding to? Because the whole entire class shut down. They ain't talking to you. What's going on with your mind? Whew. So I just, the streets, I try to keep reminding the kids, once you get to this door, leave the street outside. I know that we've been in the street. I know that we've been, all free over the summer, but please let's leave that outside. And then speaking of which, please, we gotta help watch our kids. We gotta show our kids better. Up to today, this morning, I'm headed to church. I'm seeing a kid, probably no older than 11 or 12, smoking a big old fat one, just walking down the street. And he was not an adult. I knew it was a child because he was short, little teeny tiny kid. I'm like, what are we doing? What examples are we showing to our children? Because that's a person that's going to come to school and you can't tell them nothing because I walk down the street smoking blunts like ain't nothing. What are we going to do to help our children? Remember, they're still children and they still have to get through school. And with all these new laws that's coming out, what are we doing? April, thoughts?
And one thing for certain, two things for sure, it's going to take a community, meaning we're just talking about the basics of community. That's just family, whoever it is that has the most influence for the child in the home, and maybe even not in the home, but whoever that person or persons is, teachers with the S, and also the child themselves. Because at this point, we competing with technology. There's no other words for it. And for those that were not parents that have decided not to allow their children to be inclusive in the technology realm, I will say that academically they perform better without question. They're not so easily stimulated by everything. A small pencil could drop on the ground and it becomes a full production. It becomes a full production. I'm like, the pencil just fell on the ground. So let's circle up and talk about that not being a full production. So I have been very intentional about restorative circles this year. I have no choice. They're forcing me. So parents, help us. And keep in mind the 2022-2023 school calendar for Hillsborough County Public Schools is public. Be intentional about going there and seeing what dates are out of school dates for the students, so that you can effectively plan their appointments, or if it's not a government holiday. And then you also can plan those extra days that you want to have for the child for leaving, going out of town or what have you. Yes, mental health days are necessary. We agree. So please be on notice that we're going to take them too, because like we just said, we're day 8 and it feels like 6 months.
Correct. And I think Bianca just posted the school calendar in the chat, so please make sure that you reference that, and please plan accordingly. We really mean that part all that, because this is the first year in years where we working right up to Christmas. So there is not that whole week that's before, where you have that week before Christmas.
For them kids to be out.
Listen, so we literally working up until like Christmas Eve, and then we have off until, I believe it is the 9th. So just pay attention. So don't plan no trips, and then all of a sudden your child miss exams, because that trip week that you normally would have planned, we still in school. That probably will be the exam week. Okay, so that's really important that we do that. Okay, so and be just really be intentional about that. Look at the spring break days. And parents. Speaking of which, listen, appointments. Okay, I can schedule my doctor appointments in the afternoon at 4 o'clock. We don't have to pull them out at 12 o'clock. And in the same manner, we ain't got to pull them out in the morning and decide they're going to drop them back to school 2 hours before school finish. Man, you got to keep that player home. Just you don't miss all day, and now you come in. Why? To come
stay on to the house. Just take them on to the house.
Back at McDonald's trying to show off to everybody else that you got something. Wait a minute.
They walk in with the big McDonald's cups and the Slurpees and all. I'm like,
right. And now everybody mad. Everybody mad.
Just held them in the office while they slurped up the few slurps they had. Yeah, but just parents, be real intentional about planning the dates that outside of the many dates that are already on the calendar for the students to be out, be intentional about those dates, because this new way of work with the benchmarks and the new, well, not new, I don't call them new standards or new benchmarks. They just been repackaged. Some things have been shifted around, but there are no such, in my opinion, there's no such thing as ELA and math, new anything. They're just moved around because we're still teaching the same concepts and skill sets. They're just moved in different places. So some things that were taught in 6th grade now have been moved down to 5th grade, and so on and so forth. So yeah, not too much to freak out about that. But the thing to take notice of is the way in which the students are now going to be assessed or tested. We went from 1 state assessment to 3. They're called progress monitoring. It's still unfolding. The majority of us will see what that looks like, not this upcoming week, but the following week. Is that when y'all are doing it as well? Well, really don't have no choice because the window opens and that's what they said, and it's going to close at a certain date. Now, the only thing that I have a problem with outside of, it's been 3 versus 1, is that all students from grades 3rd through high school are taking this assessment on the computer. Now, we have been screaming, yelling, scratching our eyeballs out, trying to explain that there's a technology inequity for our students. It's not the same. The cell phone is not the same as on a keyboard. It's not the same. The keyboard prompts them to type in lingo. The keyboard should prompt them to type correct grammar, but it's not the same. So I just want to know, for me, I teach math, but math is basically reading when it goes to taking that test or these little PMAs. My question becomes, where is the time built in for those children to practice? That's all I want to know. Because as of right now, it's not built in.
You're absolutely right. And that's the problem right there. Because, and I mean, if you're looking at it, unless you have, you're blessed to have a desktop or a laptop or something like that over the summer, you're telling your children, go ahead on there and practice or write little stories or, send little emails and things like that. Unless they're constantly practicing that, it's a struggle. So could you imagine, remember, it's multi-steps. So if they're not even getting the first step, it's going to take forever for them to complete an assessment. And of course, then the assessment goes in as, well, it's either incomplete or they score very low. But if you're talking about a child that has to start off by reading instructions, then figuring out all the tools that they have to use, like, say, for example, they have a highlight tool. They may have a tool that allows them to, gives them the dictionary definition, a tool for this, a tool for that. And then on top of that, reading the prompt, reading the actual passage, finding out what they need to fill out, selecting the answers. I've already gone through 6 steps. 6 steps. And none of those 6 steps is things that they do on a phone. On a phone, it's all about, okay, let me video something, press a couple buttons, and now here I've got an entire press a couple buttons, and now I've got a video made. But that's not how it works on a keyboard. Keyboard is QWERTY. Keyboard has all these different keys. I had a child who kept, when they had to capitalize something, that child kept pressing the cap lock and then taking the cap lock off and then writing the rest of the sentence. I said, it's an easier way to do that. You just got to hit the shift button. So, right, when is the time coming for them to have those skills built in? When is that going to happen? And that's what takes time. And that's why, and then let's talk about the fact that, yes, the assessments are online, but I don't know about at your school, but our computers crash all the time. They crash.
Listen, real quiet. So we got these new computer cards, and they're fabulous. But when everybody try to log in at once, it immediately says no network. Ain't no network. Ain't no network. So then we all in the hallway peeking out. You got network? We ain't got no network down here. Yes, that's just what we do. That's how we looking at the classrooms. You got some network? And it's like, okay. So you all think that, and I don't, we used to have Verizon. I think we have Frontier now. It might be flip-flop. I don't know. But what I can say is that every day between the hours of the times of 1:20 to 1:45 in room 436, there's always a time where the internet goes down every single day. So I just don't know if our technology is capable of sustaining what their vision is for it to do, because now we walk around with this one tablet / laptop and we don't have access to a desktop, because that's nothing but a monitor. So if a teacher want to take attendance and all that, they can't have nothing projected on the screen to do that, because so it's been a learning curve for me. Maybe others, it's been swift for them, but I've been like, okay, I don't want to take attendance while I have something up for them to be working on. That's a time where I usually go over to my desktop. So it's been very interesting with this.
They want you to work with they want you to do more with less. And I said, yes, I understand this is a brand new shiny laptop and it's beautiful and everything, and I've got this giant monitor and all that, but you're making me less functional instead of more functional. That's the issue. And well, we got a comment down here. It says, and what is it, Hunter says that network infrastructure comes from the local pot of money. Okay. All right. Possibly, but the question is, does it work? That's the question.
No. Look, effectively, it works. Just
does it work effectively? No. Now, I will say this. I even had a parent come to me because during our open house, we were talking about the FSA scores, the last test scores, and I do have some 3s and 4s that are actually sitting in my class. And level 3 means that they passed it. Level 4, it means they did well on the assessment last year. But one of the things they mentioned to me was that the computer shut down or tapped out, or the internet went off during that child's assessment, and the child missed the level 3 by 2 points. So they're wondering, well, wait a minute, could it possibly be that if my child had actually finished it or was able to log back into it in such a way, wouldn't they have passed it? And I was like, that's a very interesting question, because, and I can't answer that question as a classroom teacher, but yeah, that would be a great question to pose before your school board or other folks who are higher up than myself, because what if it was the technology? What if I could see you missing it? You got 299 and you're supposed to have a 337. That's one thing. But if you missed it by 2 points, what could that have meant? So, just throwing those questions out there for everyone to ponder. That's a pondering question. That's the owl question. Like, I like the neck to the side. So buses, April. Let's talk about buses. How was the bus situation at your school? Give me a rundown.
I want to talk about it at my school. I want to talk about it at my children's school. So they're part of the magnet transportation this year, and they get out of school at, if I'm not at I'm going to say 7 at 3:30. They do not get home before right at 6 o'clock. Now, the first 2 days, it was right at 6:30. Now, I get it. Trust me, I get it, because I done told them what to do when they on the buses in the event that they're not capable of, getting home sooner. Take your book, put your phone, all that. But the problem is, when you call the call center, they're gone. And when you call the school, they're gone. So you don't have anyone to call to say, where's the bus currently at? Have they left the what you call it, the transit center, the transfer center? There's nobody to call. Now, I had been on hold for from 5 o'clock up until when the phone came on, and then it says we're closed. I was like, what the? So I had to reach out to a school board member and say, hey, can I get some help? Where they at? Well, how do I reach somebody? And they reached out to security. So it was like, oh God, what's happening here?
This is a situation. So here's K School Board, since you're listening. This is a situation where, this is where that tracking would come in handy. You want to talk about technology. this is where you would put your tech. Your tech should be on your buses, where then that way a parent can say, okay, my child got to take this bus, by the bus number. You type in the bus number and say, okay, or here, let me track where my bus is so I can know where my child is at. That's an excellent use of the technology. So, I mean, we're going to just throw that little nugget out there.
According to them meaning when you do reach somebody in the call center, they say according to the GPS, they were there XYZ time. Now, I know there's something happening where they're providing tracking for the students on the bus, but I don't understand that process. Like you said, all we need is to know where the bus is. We don't know if our child is supposed to be on the bus. That's what we expect. So that's really interesting to me. But back to my point is, I always thought that until transportation calls back to the school to say all students are clear from their school, I thought an administrator, somebody's supposed to be on that campus staying there. Because what if they have to bring a child back to the school? So I'm just trying to figure out like what has changed over time, or maybe I'm just not privy to the process because my kids I've rode the bus for 2-3 years. So I don't know, but tracking the kids versus tracking the bus, I don't understand that process. So it would be interesting to know, in the event a child gets hurt or whatever it is. And yes, transportation should have access to that information, but what if they don't? God forbid they don't. Shouldn't they be able to pick up the phone and call back to school and say, blah, 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 yeah, everybody's gone. Everybody. Or there's no extension to say, push this extension to reach somebody that's still on the school site. There's none of that. So what I did find out is security can identify what is happening at the bus ramps. That's what they call it, the bus ramps. So yeah.
Interesting. Well, well, we hope that situation becomes clear as the time goes by. But I noticed that when school started, there was still, I wouldn't even, around the state, there was lots of positions. Here in our Hillsborough County, there were lots of positions still open and available. And those including not only teachers, but bus drivers, cafeteria staff, things like that. And which, of course, leads to long waits all the way around, where the kids get to school on time, where the kids are able to eat on time. And especially if you have somebody up, as I say, a warm body in the seat at the appropriate time. Well, and speaking of infrastructure, let's just hop on over, since we go from technology, let's hop on over to one of my favorite subjects, air conditioning. All right, let's.
I have nothing to say because
I have plenty.
We've been good in the hood in Selfna. The air has been consistent. I think the last went crazy moment by B that fixed us out there. We had no problems, none, zero. But God forbid, we've been having these storms all weekend. That tomorrow, oh God.
And that's wonderful, but it's not the same everywhere. So I'm glad you spoke on your experience. Let me speak on our experience over here by us. I mean, so we did have that one storm that hit during pre-planning, and that did shut us down for a while, and then it kicked back in. But I just want to say again, from my school, my location, let me give you all the information for those who are listening. It's called Young Middle Magnet, right over here on MLK. All right, the 700 building on fire. Okay, it's on fire. And remember, y'all sent the district people over to hang out with us for the first 20 days, quote unquote, 20 days of school. Some of them done disappeared. I'm just gonna talk because they hot. Now we've been uncomfortable and hot for quite some time, but we still in there. And I just want to say this one more thing. I say you got access back there. You got some kids with special needs. They don't need to be in the heat. So I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Can't be in the heat because of the medications that they're on.
Correct. So let's do the right thing. Since we all running for school board, and we running for this and we running for that, we running for our lives. Some of them running from the heat, going back to the air conditioning buildings downtown. I just want to let you know that the 700 building is on fire. And by the way, can I get some blinds? Room 403. That's all I gotta say about that.
And
take flight. Take flight. Take flight. take flight.
You snatched it. You still waiting on blinds.
I'm still, it's about 6 years.
What year this is for you? You've been asking about blinds? How many years?
I think it's the 6th year.
And you still ain't.
I still ain't. I've actually had the head of maintenance come down in 2021 and said I was going to get some blinds. I still ain't got them yet.
He may no longer be in that position.
Oh, that's right, because positions do change often. So I forgot. Yeah. But I'm still waiting on blinds. Just going to throw that out there. And because since we are so concerned about everything else, so, in China, they're teaching middle schoolers calculus and stuff like that and quantum physics. But we over here talking about books on the shelf. But okay, I will say this. And critical race theory and all that crap. I will say this. Y'all so concerned about our children. But if I don't get some blinds, it don't matter how locked up my door is in prevention from the school shooter can still look on through, because I ain't got no tint on the windows either. So anybody can look on and see all of us huddled up in the corner and just wipe us all out.
And so it's so that's interesting that you say that, Denise, because one of the my new coworkers, and that's not from this country, she said, they were saying have a the space in the room where you can hide a hard corner. She said, but what happens to the windows, the large windows? There's most of the blinds are missing. Like, what do we do then? So the conversation kept going around. I say she means the large windows that if they're on the outside looking in, there is no hard corner because the whole room is open. There's no way to mask that we're in the room. Like. And they was like, oh, we ain't been had no blind. We all around there without blinds. I got a few, one that don't turn. Yeah. It's like, at what point are blinds replaced? They talk about things being fire retardant. At some point, whatever's sprayed on it or painted on it, it loses its effectiveness. So therefore, I'm pretty sure they need to be replaced. But that's just my thoughts.
I'm just saying, if I can't get blinds, can I at least get, the ceiling to floor tint? Can I get some kind of protection, one, from the heat, and two, just so the school shooters or whoever they're trying to do anything nefarious to my children, can I get it in such a way that they can't see us? That's all I want. They can't see us, but everyone can see us as they stroll on by. The kids be looking out the window and they're looking in there. Hey, little Junebug, what's up? I don't need Junebug to holler at you because he see you in class.
Not because they see you in class. I'm done.
So it's so because that's what happened. Remember, especially if our kids we're magnets, so our kids are coming from different locations. So remember, you ain't see them for all summer. You have not spent time in that particular neighborhood. You so excited to see everybody. So you hollering. You coming down the hallway hollering. Okay? Hollering. Now, speaking of, let me go back to the topic. It was on discussion yesterday at TEA and Allegations. There was an excellent discussion about just the way the kids behave, things like that. But also what came up was uniforms and dress code. And let's discuss it for a minute. I am at a school. I love the fact that April and I are two opposite schools, so we can really look at it from different perspectives. But I'm at a school where we do wear uniforms. Our uniforms are a khaki pants and a red collared shirt. And I've noticed over the years that it really has reduced a lot of the picking on kids, bullying, stuff like that. I mean, granted, kids will still talk about your shoes. You ain't got this shoe, you ain't got this shoe. But it's a uniform. It's clearly what we wear in school, and it is cost effective. A lot of days I wear the school uniform as well, because it's just cheaper. Yeah, if a little $5 shirt, we sell the uniform shirts in our school. So a collar shirt and a pair of pants, you wear that 4 days a week. You ain't got to worry about wearing out your new clothes. But there is, we follow Hillsborough County dress code. It has to be a certain length. It has to be, certain, you're covered up properly. You look decent. And it's in preparation for, if you have to go to a job, you wear uniforms at certain jobs. So the kids are practicing now to dress well for their particular place of employment. I mean, we are STEM school too. So we're focusing mostly on all of that, making sure they're professional. Now, there are some places where we do follow Hillsborough County dress code, but the kids are not doing that. And the what is the excuse? Well, my mama bought these clothes. Okay.
Hell, one of the
Let's talk
moms was on the
April, from your
phone
perspective.
saying, "What's wrong with your shorts? What's wrong with your shirt, ma'am? Ma'am, if I can see the bottom of the bra is pink with red strawberries, and when she bend down, not over, down to get a book bag where we have to put our book bags in a designated space, this much of the cheek is out. If you don't find a problem with that in school, you are the problem. Come on, man. Come on. Come on. We got to do better. Yes. Yes. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. No, it's not. In the neighborhood, to a theme park, to a concert, to a blah, 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 blah. But not the school. Not the school. It's inappropriate. Yep, you bought it. Not a problem. You bought it for them to not wear to school, I would hope. So we got to do better collectively. We got to do better. Because I don't fuss about it. I just be like, call your mom. Call somebody, let them know we're going to have you switch into some shorts that are appropriate. And most of the time, they're school gym shorts. Then it becomes the defiance. I ain't wearing that. Now we got the problem. So you got to do better collectively. That's what we got to do.
And part of the issue is, I mean, you know, when you go into a clothing store, that my brother-in-law was talking about this, you know, because you know, they have girls, and he's like, you know, a lot of these clothes are so sexualized for little girls, and he's like, why can't I just find her a t-shirt that's not a crop shirt? Why can't I find her some shorts that's not tight? Why can't I find? So he has to actually run to the boys section and get her the size clothes that she likes because it's comfortable. So, but just because it's there doesn't mean we have to purchase it. Just because, you know, they're making bras for a 4-year-old doesn't mean you must purchase it. That's a choice. And you know, of course, then you got them thinking that they're extra grown. And just because you got on a bra and I got on a bra, no, that don't mean that you and I in the same category. Okay, A cup, no A cup, no. Okay, so right. Just because you got one strap, what was it? One hook, and I got to use 4 hooks, right? Don't mean
we are not the same.
We in the same category, okay? And so yeah, so dressing appropriately at all times for school, which also I kind of understand what the men's point of view is, because every morning we talk about, you know, making sure we double check, make sure kids are in dress code, and a lot of male teachers, you know, they don't want to be penalized, or they don't want to be, you know, get accused of saying, well, I'm looking at this little girl. But look, come on. If you dress the child appropriately, a male teacher will not have to tell a child, look, you know, I can see a bra, they look draws showing. Let's make wiser decisions. Let's make wiser decisions.
That brought me back to, you remember Mr. Myers? I talked to him on what was that yesterday? He said you better call him back ASAP.
Oh,
he
for
said,
real? Oh, my bad.
during
Okay.
the time of your birthday, and I said she was out of the
Oh,
country.
shoot, that's right. I was out of town. But you know what? He AP, I think, now at a school up north.
Yes, he is.
I gotta give him a shout out.
So long story short, I remember Myers ain't had no problem saying what he needed to say. Them shorts too short, blah, 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 blah. No, I'm not looking at you. I'm just telling you it's not young lady. Like, he used to be quick on that with them kids. Like, no, I'm not looking at you. I'm just telling you it's not appropriate for you to have it on. And, you know, all gentlemen are not in a position to be able to, and their comfort level to say that, because of all the crazy that goes on. So yes, I commend him for that, because he did used to tell the young ladies, why you don't wear da 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 da, you know, be appropriate, you know, pull your shirt down, put the shorts down, da 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 da. So I remember that. So yeah.
And one thing about it too, you know, when you speak in an authoritative manner that commands respect, that's the thing. You're not downgrading the child, and you're not being friends with them, which is another thing too, that, you know, we ain't here to be your friend. We just want to tell you, listen, as from a parent perspective, from a grandparent perspective, maybe just get dressed a little nicer, because we really want you to uplift yourself. Many times when I talk to the kids, it's because I want you to have pride for yourself, love yourself enough to dress appropriate. And speaking of loving yourself enough, I actually watched a little boy just beating this little girl in her head and dragging her, well, pulling her by her hair. And she's all giggling and laughing and turn around and hit him. Okay, now listen. When people talk to you in a disrespectful manner, it's because you've allowed that to happen. Parents also speak to your girls about allowing, but I guess I don't know when it became a thing that hitting each other was to a way to tell each other that you like each other. I don't think I got hit on physically in school ever. I got a little note one time with a little, do you like me? Yes, no. Remember a little check box where you sign a little note, you get a little check on the side, and do you like me? Check yes in the one box and check no in the next box. I got that. But this dragging and beating and punching and pushing, no, that's inappropriate. That's not that. I don't know how it got there, but it's not. It hurts me when I see that happen, and then the girls are smiling and laughing and stuff. I say, you gotta lift yourself up. You gotta treat yourself better than that. You don't allow that to happen to you.
And then we also have to add that, young ladies, keep your hands to yourself. You can't keep taunting these boys, constantly hitting on them, and they could be in a bad headspace one day and they respond. And then it's going to be, oh, it was a boy hitting a girl. Well, let's talk about the many times that you hit him. So please be reminded, keep your hands and feet and all body parts to your school. And it's a safety issue to make sure that when somebody is having a bad day, they don't take it out on you. And must we talk about good old Leonard High School? Shall we? Shall we? Because the tea's so hot and so good. But unfortunately, we don't know how many flavors they added up in there. Legs.
Throw some legs on there. Hop it across the room. Oh, hot footing across the room. Part of the problem is, there's so many narratives being spun because there's so many different. It's like you ever watch a movie and you get the director cut, you got the original cut, you got the this person cut. But you got the 4-hour extended cut. I mean, there's so many videos out there telling every narrative. We can't get the full story. Then you got go ahead.
Somebody got shot on campus. I don't care if it was in the parking lot. Stop running them games by. It wasn't on campus. In Hillsborough County Public Schools policy book, handbook, all that stuff, the parking lot for teachers is on campus.
That's right.
They tell you, we're not responsible for any of your belongings that go missing or damaged on campus. The parking lot is on campus. Stop it. It happened on campus.
On campus. And when they say, if there's a fight or something that occurs or a disruption or whatever like that, if it's 400 feet off campus, it's not considered something that happened at school. But as long as it's still, they left baby toe is touching the edge of the parking lot, it's still on campus. On campus. So again, someone brought weaponry and had a shooting on the campus.
What they brought?
Weaponry. Coming in for the landing. Go ahead. Snatch it up.
So I don't know a lot about it. I know what Bianca shared on yesterday, and she too expressed that there was a lot of different narratives that were being shared with the community. But I do know that the story don't add up from the school, from HCSO, and from public, our person that tells us what's going on in the district. So I don't know. I wasn't there. All I do is know that somebody was shot on campus. It may not have been in the building, but it was on campus.
And we'll eventually, at some point in time, they'll get down to the bottom of it or spin the story in some particular way. And speaking of which, there was Bianca, do you have that article where it focuses on a sign? There was a sign put up in the Panhandle. There it is. Warning: staff members are armed and trained, and any attempt to harm children will be met with deadly force. Okay, now whether or not all the staff members are armed and trained, but it's the fact of the matter that it's in the Panhandle. It's a school right here in Florida, and it's basically a message to warn people, to warn shooters, like, hey, come on, try this school. We ready for you. But not everybody's armed. But now here's the opposite. We really don't want weapons on campus, but yet they over there blatantly telling everybody, come on through. We ready for you. Now my thing is, what if somebody missed?
All I know is this. I would be fearful with some of my colleagues to have a gun on campus. That's number one. Because the lack of cultural competency that exists among nationwide, it is what it is. There are still individuals that have disbeliefs of things that happen at certain schools by certain people doing certain things to a certain population of children. They are just ignorant to the fact that it still happens. So or complicit. I don't know. All I know is that I would be scared. I can't work with them if I know they had a gun on the campus. That's just period. Secondly, I find it quite disturbing when a candidate for school board would say that I think it's okay for teachers to be armed in classrooms. I don't think you're going to be a good fit for a school board member. No, because yeah, that makes no sense to me. That means that you truly don't understand the dynamics of what is happening in classrooms. And we have not reached a place in Hillsborough County to say that that would be the most effective way of protecting children. I just don't see it. I don't. I really don't. So I'm highly
because
concerned
you have
will say something as such.
right. You have people who, like we still haven't even crossed the divide in terms of understanding discipline. We haven't crossed that. Okay, so one kid could chew gum and nobody gets mad. Another kid of a different color, a different race, could chew some gum, and next thing you know, he getting a suspension. So if we can't even figure out that aspect of it, imagine somebody getting mad because, oh, I felt threatened. No, you getting mad because he talked loud. That's just like in our culture, we talk loud and fast. I mean, so now you're mad because I'm talking loud and fast. It seems like it's threatening to you. That's just how we talk.
Very much so. Mm-hmm.
So
or
now
intimidated, or
you want to arm a person who's scared?
Yeah, that's the word. I'm offended. For what?
Yes.
Because I spoke facts. What are you offended about? I didn't lie about anything. I didn't accuse you of anything. I just gave you the facts in a tone that you understand that I'm not with your BS. That's all. It's not a problem. It shouldn't be a problem.
Right.
And then also to just, quickly put this plug in there. The Sunshine Education Coalition have been talking about the school to prison pipeline for going on 3 years?
Yes.
We've done extensive research on it. We produced the data. We shared it out. We spoke to all those that were willing to hear, that are in government elective roles, positions. And the only rate that we're going to get any type of shift in any of this is getting individuals to collaborate with us that have a genuine interest on making certain that certain things are not happening to children of color, Black children, Black boys, to be specific, so that we can slow down what is currently happening, happening to them as it relates to school to prison pipeline with the suspension rate or the out of the classroom, the number of out of the classroom days that they are, receiving. So I know that current candidates are having surface level conversations about it, but we've seen that before. That's why when those surface level conversations happen, I'm really not interested in hearing it, because to me, you're just saying what needs to be said for the moment. You've not done the research to actually be willing to take this back to the school board in the event that you are elected, and then actually constantly bringing forth this information to say, what are we doing about it to address, besides identifying another task for it that is on the side of the district. We need something that's on the outside of the district, a coalition, a group of people that's going to be willing to address the matter. So the Hispanic community, I commend them. They're doing a phenomenal job with it. They identified some leaders, and they developed a coalition outside of the district's task force. And they are, meet with the superintendent, have conversations, make requests to see, see the data, and, they're getting results. Yes, the Hispanic population is now the majority. It is what it is. It is what it is. And they're not waiting for their children to continue to be successful in areas that they should not. They're not going to continue to allow the inequities to happen. So therefore, I'm trying to figure out, what's our delay? What's our delay? Mm-hmm. We got individuals that are in elected positions that we know as friends, family, all of that. Help us. Don't just say you're going to help us. genuinely help us because we have the conversation, we produce the data. The community, for those that are attending events that we go to and present the information, their grandparents, a lot of them are not having to raise their grandchildren. They're assuming that their daughters and sons, are staying in tune with everything that's going on. But it's not until something happens that then they have an interest in it. We got to stop waiting till something has happened. We got to stop being reactive and be proactive. That's what we are lacking, in my opinion, in comparison to the Hispanic community. Like just recently, we had supposedly right at what 10 to 20,000. I want to say it was 10,000, a little over 10,000 Hispanic Cubans to come into Florida, in Hillsborough County to be exact. Immediately, they rallied around those body of people. They had a special, unified, designated space for interpreters, every resource that they needed in one space. I'm like, we got children right here in the
and to be awareness is key, because as you see going forward with these assessments and all these things that we're doing right now, it's changing graduation requirements. And if you're not aware of what's happening with your child and their graduation requirements, I mean, going back to reading, because that's what I teach, your child got to get on reading level. Or the high school diploma won't actually be a diploma. It'll just be what they call it, a certificate of completion.
That is correct.
They must be able to read on reading level. They have to. And these are things that slide in there, and you don't realize that till 12th grade. And you realize, wait a minute, this child can't graduate? No. And it holds them back from so many things. Even the military won't take you without a high school diploma. I mean, you might work at McDonald's right now, but you're never going to move up because you need an actual high school diploma. And one of the stipulations is you must be able to read on reading level. Where's the resources and support for that? And these are children that are here in Hillsborough County right now. They're tearing up the school. They're going from elementary to a middle school and can't read. And so now you expect them to get all the way. They're not passing the FSA. They didn't pass the FCAT before that. What else? Sunshine State standard. Every just like April said, every new standard type thing they bring on, we on best right now. It's just a repackaging, a rebranding. That's all it is. But the bottom line is, because the stipulations have changed, requirements have changed, you got to be ready and be aware. It's time to shut the phone off at night. It's time to unplug. Bianca showed a beautiful lockbox. Bianca, I'm about to order me a lockbox for my class. That's a great idea. A lockbox for those phones, because you got to put away the phone. These kids got to read. They got to get back on reading level, or graduation will be a dream. Just like Martin Luther King had a dream, that graduation will truly be a dream. It will not be a reality, because the parameters and the requirements have changed. So,
and then we
want you to be aware.
Let's go back. Let's go back.
Go ahead.
Emily Lee said, I wouldn't have to work if I had money for every time I heard that. That just means they like you. Yeah, whatever. And then also Regina said, maybe that's why they are hiring campus safety monitors at minimum wage for high schools. Listen, minimum wage, which minimum wage? Because it seems like there's different levels of minimum wage. Because I heard some numbers for minimum wage for our district support staff that I was like, how are they able to take care of their families? Like, I mean, I am at a place where I do well with budgeting, but I will honestly say that some teachers are a half a paycheck away from just drowning. And there is also teachers that have slept in their cars this summer. There's also teachers that food pantry is a necessity, and giving teachers food pantry opportunities does not mean give them outdated food. It's like it's so much that's weighing on educators beyond just going into the classroom and taking on so much of and I won't call it a burden, so much of the stressors that the children come to school with themselves, and the challenges that they come to school with, to where sometimes we don't even have enough mental capacity to even come home to our own families to be like, how do I address what your needs are? Because I done took on LaShawn's, Kevin's, and all of theirs.
Right.
So I'm exhausted. Remember them 8 days? Remember that's what we're
Just
referring
8 days
to.
of school. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Just 8.
so we really got to be a little bit more mindful of all of the above. And I won't even get on my soapbox about the millage tax. I won't get on my soapbox for that. Yeah. Yes, the millage is necessary. We know that. But there is a lack of trust that has been broken on numerous occasions by made to educators and people that's in the education field in Hillsborough County, to where now we just don't trust. I don't trust what should be done or what is proper to be done to be fair for us is going to be done. So it's just like that's where we're at. A fool would think that the millage rate is not great. You will be a fool to not think that. I don't think no teacher would say that. But we will say that we don't. A lot will say they don't trust the process
because I mean,
you know, it's so many promises, right, and we're still waiting for them to come to fruition. So at this point, no more. Like done.
Because I mean, the more it's like a bad relationship. You don't promise me, I promise me, I promise me, I promise me. It's like with kids. You promise kids some ice cream. You don't keep on giving them ice cream. Where's the trust? We're not going to trust you. Okay, where's my money? Where's the incentive? Where's the stimulus or whatever? Where's the blinds? All that's trust, and I don't have that trust right now.
What did it?
Blinds and air conditioning. Okay, where's the trust exactly? So, but yeah, that's me. I mean, I don't know. What about you, April? Get anything? Oh wait, anybody else? They work multiple jobs. Listen, minimum wage. Minimum wage. I don't understand when landlords are increasing rent exponentially and acting like look at you $600 $600 $600 $700 $800. Well, what's the point? People can't afford to live like that. And gas is going down.
There's nowhere else to go.
No. Right. And that's the problem right there. And gas, even though gas is going down, it's still high. I mean, goodness. I'm amazed that people are just the lengths of what people go. The fact that people have to make decisions on whether they're going to eat or get medicine. Okay, well, maybe I got to cut down on where I go because I can only make this gas stretch for so far. Okay, I'm gonna feed these kids, but I'm not gonna eat. You know, it's insane. And meanwhile, they're building $500,000 and $600,000 houses.
And I also want to add before we get ready to wrap up is that that then goes back to when we were working with the children from Silver Oaks and families and friends. It is very important that we continue to support those children. Because the last event when they were making the inquiries and saying, we're not going to see y'all again, y'all going to check on us during the school year, so on and so forth. We have to be able to stick to that commitment because we're not in the business of developing a relationship with children and then just dumping them. That's not what we do. And also to add to that, there is still a need for uniforms for some of the youth that attend Silver Oaks. With a focus on the younger ones. Yes, we did look more so for the older kids, meaning 3rd through 5th, but we omitted to include the toddlers. So 2 T's, 3 T's, the little ones that go to what is it called? BPK and kindergartner. So we are going to put that list and go and create a list with those smaller sizes on there and seek out support in that area. Yes, Silver Oaks situation has gotten better under the leadership of Alicia Oates, that is still continuing this fight with in support of the whole circumstances change for the better for those families. And it has worked. Her voice did not go weak during this time, even though she had a lot of death in her own family. So again, we want to continue to support for our youth in the Silver Oaks so we could continue providing resources to them for them throughout the school year. So, maybe they have a need for tutoring and so on and so forth. Yes. Now keep in mind, we will tutor. But when we take a tutor for that specific area, it requires funding, guys, because we could be being paid to tutor somewhere else. And we do that. So again, yes, we got families. We got to feed our children too. I feed our families too. Pay bills too. So again, resources definitely are a need. The need is there. And don't start to, well, have y'all asked, what did you do? We have asked so many organizations.
Everybody.
Up and through, tell you that you could apply for this and do this. But then every time you apply and do something, they come back with asking you for something else. Tell people what you want if they're applying for funding from your organizations. Be specific, give them the requirements so they're not playing your mind games, because I don't have time for it. That's like losing time that we can never replace.
Right.
So again, don't waste people's time with that. You're either going to help fund them or not, because it is clear that we fund who we want to fund. That's without question. Super grateful for all those that did fund the program while we were working with the kids, and they developed experiences this summer that need to continue in efforts to continue building their overall social emotional, their interactions, with create connections with what they learn in school to what they learn in field trips. So again, it's so necessary. So I can't keep stressing it. We will continuously work with those babies. We will figure it out, if we don't get support like we always do. Right. But again, it definitely is necessary. And let me say this. Don't give out false promises to individuals, because going back to the conversations about uniforms and so on and so forth, even with technology, an individual may basically with their words that they were going to provide resources to these children, and children that were on, a given list outside of being Silver Oaks children, Silver Oaks children that don't attend one of the public schools, they actually attend charter. It shouldn't matter. Once you make a promise, follow through.
Right.
Follow through, because parents are expecting those promises. And when you don't follow through, then that makes other people look bad.
But not just that, they're children. They're children. Just their children. That's okay.
Regina said, I believe it to be $11.43, but to possibly put their life on the line is too much. I would assume they would be quickly training them to what? $11.43. That's not SRO. That's what I go to sell. Minimum wage where?
They said it works multiple jobs.
What can a person do? Oh God. Let me stop.
$11 is a plate of food. McDonald's went up on their prices. $11 is a meal at McDonald's. I was like, say what? For a quarter pounder? I can't. Were you saying something? Either way, we know we got to wrap it up. And you want to add anything else, April? I just wanted parents to just be aware of everything that's going on, and stay, definitely log into the Hillsborough County School District website to stay up to date with a lot of the events that are happening. The more you keep on hitting that, you'll know what's happening, especially when days off and things like that. Because to me, it always amazes me how people will be texting me and saying, "Do we have school that day?" They actually post all the information on there, so just keep going on there every single day, or at least once a week, so you're aware of what's happening with your child. And also go to your child's school's website, as it should be up to date, and it will give you the information that you need, especially the forms also that you need for school.
And conference nights, we already know they should be mid-September, so it's not a surprise. Conference nights, mid-September, be on the lookout for it. Team No Excuse, you don't have to go on site to conference night. Remember, we all learned about good old Zoom. We all learned about good old, what is it called? Google Meetups, Google Meets. We all got apps on our phones. There's no longer any excuse
exactly
as to why you should not be able to have a conference with your child. So again, do your part, parents. Be in support of your children. Let them know that you have a true interest in their education, a true one.
Right. Couldn't have said it better myself. All right, April, that's all we have for this evening. I am the Diva D from Carved Out Divas.
April Cobb with April's Beauty Bar.
And we are Diversity and Equity in Education, and we're hosted by the fabulous and fantastic Bianca Goolsby. And we want to thank you And good night. Square fingers.